Hey guys, welcome back to Meals with Michelle. Tonight I'm going to be doing something really different and I'm very excited about it. I'm going to be doing a scallop potato roll with ground beef. It's going to be really interesting. It's my first time making it. I've seen different variations of it online, so I'm going to try my own thing with it. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share my videos. I would appreciate that. Thanks, let's get started. Let's start with our ingredients. So I have about 1.5 pounds here of ground beef. I use lean, not extra lean, just because I like that little bit of extra flavor that's left in the lean ground beef. So we are gonna start cooking this. We're gonna add some olive oil. Let's see what other ingredients we have. Over here we have a whole lot of cheese, which is always a good sign to me. We have some fresh Parmesan cheese grated here. We have some extra old white cheddar and a combination of regular cheddar and mozzarella, about 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, 1.5 cups of onion, a whole lot of mushrooms here sliced thinly, olive oil, salt, pepper, seasoning salt, paprika, parsley, onion powder, cream of mushroom soup, and definitely not used in these order. This is about 3/4 of a pack of bacon. Now, note to self, not to buy no-name bacon. I found it really hard to pull apart and pretty fatty, but we should do just fine. Over here I have 6 to 8 potatoes, which we will be peeling. Just depending on how big they are is going to be how many you're going to be using. So our ground beef is starting to cook. I added some olive oil. We're going to add some onion salt for flavor, as well as some parsley flakes, which don't seem to be coming up very well. We'll get them in there. Once our ground beef is really sizzling away and browning up, we're going to add our onion. And our garlic. So we want our ground beef to be pretty well minced up. We don't want any big chunks, so we're going to break it down and mix this all together. We have all our potatoes cut thinly. I'm just going to show you here. That's probably the most thick that you want them. This is because we are going to be layering them on our cooking sheet. Also, I should mention you have to use parchment paper for this recipe, otherwise you will not be able to roll this up. Yes, we are going to be rolling it. So I took my parchment paper, laid it on my cooking sheet, used a good amount of cooking spray, and a nice sprinkle of Parmesan cheese all over the bottom. So we're going to continue to layer our potatoes, a little bit on top of each other. Again, we don't want anything too thick, and we'll see when that whole bottom layer is covered. So I've gone ahead and strained our ground beef. We want to get all of that fat and oil out of it. Now let's move over to our baking sheet. I have all of our potatoes spread out. We have all of our potatoes thinly sliced and laid over our parchment paper. There is sprinkled Parmesan cheese underneath and on top. So now what we're going to do is actually grab our bacon and put it over these potatoes. So now's a good time to set your oven for 350. We're going to be putting this alone in for about 30 to 35 minutes. So you may be able to tell there's a little bit of ground beef mixture on here. I forgot that we are doing the potato and bacon separately. So let's get this in the oven and then we're going to add the ground beef. 350 for 30 to 35 minutes. So I decided to give our mushrooms kind of like a little pre-cook before we put them inside our roll. I noticed they're a little thick and I want them to come out nice and soft. So I just put some butter in my pan, added my mushrooms, and topped it with some paprika. So we'll add this to the roll when it comes out of the oven. Alright, so doesn't this look delicious? Now we're going to take our beef mixture and spoon it onto our baking sheet. But first we're going to add one of our cheeses on top of this. Either cheese is fine. We're going to get that cheese all nice and evenly sprinkled. We're going to save our second choice of cheese for on top of the ground beef. And we're also going to get those mushrooms on here. Look at all these delicious layers. We have all of our ingredients except for the cream and mushroom soup, which we will be doing now. But first we're going to add our second layer of cheese. And when this is cut open, it's just going to be like oozing with cheese, so pretty delicious. Remember not to over pack this dish. I definitely did not use nearly all my ground beef. I didn't want it to be too heavy so that I wasn't able to roll it up. So now we're going to take our cream and mushroom soup and just kind of do the best we can to distribute it around. We may not even be using this whole can as well, because as this bakes again, it's going to spread out nicely in the oven. So now comes one of the trickiest parts. With our parchment paper, we're going to lift it up, and as you can see underneath we have that layer of potatoes, and we're going to roll it and kind of pack it all together. So we're going to take our parchment paper and just separate it from the paper, the potatoes, and make this into a roll as best as we can. So I have transferred the roll to a cutting board with some laid out saran wrap. It was very difficult to transfer this and to get the potato off of the parchment paper, but it can be done, as you can see. Just take your time. So what I've done here is laid it on our saran wrap, tightened the edges here, made sure it's all sealed, and kind of rolled it around to keep that shape and keep it all intact. Let's move on to the next step. So I have my crescent rolls right here. So I opened that up and flattened it out as best as I could with my rolling pin. I brought over our roll. We're going to unwrap it and carefully wrap this lovely pastry all around it. Our giant roll is ready to go back in the oven. So we're going to be putting this in at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how quickly this pastry browns up. I have very lightly sprayed my baking dish here, all nice and covered. Let's get that in the oven.
Wow, this looks good.
Okay, so we're gonna cut open our roll here and see what it looks like on the inside. Smells delicious. Let's take another slice. Let's get on the plate and see what it looks like. Here is our beef roll all cooked. We haven't tried it yet, so hopefully it tastes as good as it looks and smells. Alright, so what do we think?
Actually quite surprised. Never had anything like this. It's really good. Tender, yet crunchy, yet cheesy.
What's the pastry like on the outside?
Super super soft.
Nice. So it's a home run, everybody.